Great place.
It can be any kind of office use.
Yeah.
Egg, right? It's own egg.
No, it's got a funny sound.
Here, you can take it back.
That,
Right, and
all those little islands.
One of them.
Really, you look at what the general plan is for Tulare.
yeah, how I got to know her, I was selling.
That's
Still in the
we
county.
Yeah, she was living in Puerto
It's in the
Rico.
county.
the county goes along with whatever the general plan of the city is. Now, you go down on Acres where that office is. Oh, Demery, there's a nice office. That's a problem. Anything that's in one of those islands. Talking with Kyle Crocker, you know, they want to annex all these little islands. So there's no such things as absolutes.
Good morning. Welcome to the Tulare County Planning Commission meeting in the Board of Supervisors chambers, January 30th, 2019. Information concerning the following agenda items are available for public consideration during normal working hours at the Resource Management Agency Permit Center, 5961 South Mooney Boulevard, Visalia. Staff will assist in answering questions. Further information about the Planning Commission, see the last page. All public hearings are scheduled for certain times or as soon as thereafter, as the matter can be heard. All non-timed items will be considered following the public hearings or when the time permits. Persons wishing to speak on any of the agenda items who have made a political contribution of more than $250 to any commissioner in the last 12 months must indicate this when speaking. Item 1, roll call, please.
McElroy,
Here.
Millies,
Here.
Elliott,
Here.
Diaz,
Here.
Whitlatch,
Here.
Vitigliano,
Here.
Aguilar.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I go into public comment, I want to call your attention this morning to our commission, and we are very fortunate, very pleased to have a new commissioner on our commission representing District 4, Maria McElroy. Maria, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And before we go any further, just would love to have you give us a little background, a little brief synopsis of your background. Doesn't have to be long.
Okay. I am from Dinuba. I'm officially the corporate trainer for Reese Foods. And they're Dinuba based. Some of my background is I'm also an active volunteer Better Business Bureau arbitrator. So hopefully, as some of my colleagues here have indicated, that might be a useful skill to have here. I had, prior to this, approximately 6 years experience with a legal environmental nonprofit in Hungary. And my task there was to professionalize the practices of this organization. And it's regionally respected today, so hopefully I can use some of those skills. The one thing that has followed me in whatever volunteer work I do, whether it's with the BBB or CASA, I'm also an advocate, is that I have to look at how whatever decision I make, and they're not always easy decisions, impact the people involved in that decision, and to make the best one in that case. And that's carried through, that's been my philosophy with CASA, with the BBB, and I may not personally agree sometimes with the way the decision needs to go, but it's the best decision for the case and the set of facts. So I bake cookies.
Good.
So several of the people here in the audience are familiar with the Dinuba Cookie Walk that I started. It's turned from an eight-person project into 28 families and a couple hundred participants. And since he just walked in, I want to thank Supervisor Valero for pointing my attention to this commission, and also to thank the Board of Supervisors for approving my nomination, and I look forward to working with you all. So, welcome. Thank you.
Supervisor Valero, she just committed to bring us some burritos.
Oatmeal,
the next
I've got my
meeting.
first order right now, oatmeal raisin, so. All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 2, public comment. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. Under state law, matters presented under this item cannot be discussed or acted upon by the Planning Commission at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public will be invited to make comments at the time the item comes up for Planning Commission consideration, so that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any person addressing the Planning Commission may be limited at the discretion of the chair. Note, in order to be considered by the Planning Commission, testimony on public hearing items must be given at the time scheduled for public hearing. At all times, please use the microphone, state your name and address for the record. And as a courtesy to those in attendance, we ask that you please turn off your electronic devices, cell phones. It does say pagers, but we don't think anyone has those anymore. In compliance with the American Disabilities Act, if you need special assistance to participate in this meeting, please contact the Resource Management Agency at 559-624-7000. So moving on to item 3, approval of minutes from the last meeting. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes from January 16th, 2019? Oh, yes. Forgive me. Would anyone like to come up and make a comment? I will open the public testimony for anyone who would like to make a comment, not related to any of the items on the agenda today. If not, I will close public testimony. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 3, approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the January 16, 2019 minutes?
I'll make that motion to approve the January 16th, 2019 minutes as
Second.
presented.
Have a second? Second. Roll call.
McElroy,
I need to abstain since I wasn't on the commission at the time.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Pigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
So moved. Thank you. Item 4, parcel map public hearings. Action on all parcel maps in this section of the agenda will be heard in one public hearing unless anyone wishing to discuss any one of these items requests that it be pulled for a separate public hearing. No staff presentation will be given on any item unless requested. In any case, there will be a separate vote on each of these items. And so moving into item 4A, I see we have a request.
Yes, through the chair, Aaron Bach, interim assistant director for the Resource Management Agency. The agent, Don Stivers, the engineer on the project, has requested that we continue this matter to date certain February 27th, 2019.
Do I have a motion to?
So moved. So moved.
Second?
I second that.
Roll call?
McElroy,
Yes?
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Pigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
So moved. Moving on to item 5, public hearings.
I need to recuse myself on this one.
You do? All right. Commissioner Aguilar will,
5A.
5A? Yes. All right, will recuse himself on item 5A. Item 5A is a special use permit PSP 18-054 Hamilton Ranches Incorporated. Authorize an amendment to special use permit number PSP 95-103 and an expansion of a nut hydrating facility on a 10,000 plus or minus square foot portion of 11.35 acre property in the AE 20 exclusive agricultural 20 acre minimum zone. The site is located on the west side of State Route 216, Road 160, approximately 1,320 feet south of Avenue 320, 1 mile south of Ivanhoe. And our contact this morning is Ms. April Hill. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Millies and Commissioners. The site contains a nut dehydrating facility that has existed on the site since before 1987. The project would add 2 storage areas within the existing footprint, about 12,905 square feet for blowers and bin pods, plus a 1,479 square foot area for loadout and bin dumpers. It would expand capacity by 150 tons to about 14,450 tons. Caltrans asked for encroachment permits and an additional 5 foot of right-of-way to accommodate the ultimate 4-lane state route. Conditions of approval require the applicant to sign the irrevocable offer at the uncertain future date when the state route for 216 is expanded to 4 lanes, and secondly, to comply with Caltrans requirements for permits, setbacks, driveway standards, landscaping plan, dust control, and water control. The AE20 zone allows the amendment and expansion with a conditionally approved special use permit. The use is compatible with the Williamson Act contract on the site. It is located outside any urban boundaries and is subject to the Rural Valley Lands Plan with the land use designation of Valley Agricultural. It's considered consistent with relevant policies of the general plan. Here's an aerial of the plant and the surrounding properties. There are active orchards and rural residences. The site has a hazardous materials permits on file with the County Environmental Health Services, which may need revision. Solid waste from the nut hauling process is spread on adjacent orchards owned by the applicant. Some is composted on the site, and a condition of approval is included to limit the quantity of compost that may be given away or sold annually. State Route 216 is a designated noise corridor. The facility does generate noise similar to other agricultural uses. Houses to the northwest to the north are partly shielded from noise by a nut processing plant recently approved for a use permit by the Planning Commission, and that was for H&H Nuts. The site plan shows the existing structures, the trailer parking area, as well as the 2 proposed storage areas within the existing footprint. The fire department requires a fire and life space safety inspection at the earliest opportunity. The site does have 1 fire hydrant, and 2 others are approximately 500 to 1,000 feet from the site. Estimated daily trips during the nut harvesting season are maximum 52. Minor amount on the total trips of State Route 216. California Natural Diversity Database shows no species of concern on the site. Kit fox are in the area, but the project has been paved and contains structures unlikely to have habitat that's attractive to kit fox. No waterways or wetlands on the site. The Environmental Assessment Officer has determined that the project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act for Section 15301, existing facilities, and Section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures. As noted before, the nut dehydrating facility has existed on the site since before 1987. The project consists of additional storage areas with no proposed structures. Commercial project has all necessary public services and facilities. It's not located in an environmentally sensitive area and is surrounded by agriculture and rural residential uses. Conditions of approval are included to reduce the impacts. A public notice was mailed to surrounding property owners within 300 feet. The notice was also published in the Sun Gazette with a 10-day public comment period. No comments were received. This ends staff's report. Do you have any questions for me or for Mr. Hamilton, who's in the audience?
Yes, sir.
April, have we have any nuisance complaints on this in the past for?
Yes, honestly, there have been.
Were they resolved?
Yes. They were regarding composting, and there are, for the environmental, pardon?
Were resolved.
They were resolved. The Environmental Health Services Division allows composting per California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Chapter 3.1, 17855, states that an activity is excluded from regulation if it handles agricultural material derived from an agricultural site and returns a similar amount of material produced to that same agricultural site, or an agricultural site owned or leased by the owner, parent, or subsidiary of the composting activities. No more than an incidental amount of up to 1,000 cubic yards of compost product may be given away or sold annually, and if the amount of compost exceeds 1,000 cubic yards, or if compost is being collected from various sites and is sold commercially, a special use permit may be required. So the composting that they have been conducting during the season is allowed by right.
That's all well and good until you're the neighbor and it smells. Have they done was there any effort to mitigate any of this, the nuisance?
Yep, they're one of the mitigation, not a mitigation measure, but the neighbors to the north are sort of shielded by the new nut processing facility, H&H Nuts, which has a structure that can reduce the noise and any noise from the dehydrating and visually.
That has been here for a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And it's more about the expansion has to do with farming and bin size where you store your nuts, and correct? In other words, they go into a larger bin, so that's part of this. It's really not an expansion, but it's more of a remodel. Is that
Yes, and Mr. Hamilton may correct me, but I believe that the storage area will be on the same area where, closer to the road, where composting was taking place. I believe the composting will be in a different location on the property.
apparently these are like 1-ton bins and other 15-ton bins. And has to do with farming practices. I'm not a farmer. You are, but right?
Are there any other questions for the commission? If none, this is a public hearing, and I will open the hearing, public testimony at this time to the public for any comments, either for or against this project. If you'd like to come up and speak, please do so. State your name and address. Good morning.
Morning. I'm Jim Hamilton. I own Hamilton Ranches. This expansion thing is where we started out back in the 1960s.
Excuse me, what is your address, sir?
Pardon?
What is your address?
It's out near Ivanhoe on Road 160 near 320, Avenue 320.
Right.
We've owned the property. My father, I think, bought it in 1911 or something like that. And I was born and raised there, and I'm 80 years old. I started the dehydrator there in about 1965, I think it was. And at that time, you didn't even need a permit. You just went out and built a dehydrator if you wanted to. Anyway, this is the original dehydrator we built, was these small bins. Today, we're running so fast, we haven't used it for a couple of years now. They're little 1-ton bins where now we have 12.5-ton bins. So we're putting this thing in the same footprint where we started. We will take it out. The bins or the tunnels now run east and west. They'll be going north and south. So we got to take the tunnels out, pack the soil, put the tunnels back in the other way. Then it will work with the existing dehydrator we have there. Due to the fact of all the walnuts have been planted, we need an additional space in our dehydrator. which is the source of why we're expanding the thing in the first place. So we're just wanting to, like I say, put this in the same footprint, turn it around. Presently, it's 100 ton. When we get through, it will be 250 in the same place. It's more efficient, and we got newer burners, and air pollution and everything else has now been taken care of. So it basically is just revise this thing and bring it up to date. And it's all due to the fact that we've got so many new plantings coming in. We do need the additional space. It will probably only be used for 2 or 3 weeks out of a year, because we'll just use it when we need the additional space. But it's becoming very apparent that's going to happen. So anyway, that's where it's at.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Hamilton, so with the expansion then, I assume then we're going to have more compostable material to have to deal with, is that correct?
It will, just due to the additional tonnage, we will have more waste, walnut hulls and stuff of this nature.
Did you, when you had the original complaint on the odor from the composting, what did you do to mitigate that for the neighbors?
Well, the composting, presently, we're kind of in our infancy on that, to say the least. We've learned an awful lot since we got into this thing. We have to do something with this. Composting appears to be the way to do it. I'm not saying we got it down pat yet, but we're getting a lot closer than we were when we started. It's far more to it than I don't know if I would have done it when I know what I know today. But what we have learned is that we got to be able to control the water, which I think we finally divide or will have this coming season that resolved. We've got the Turner. We are probably doing maybe 20% of our production is going through compost. The rest is spread out in fields and we cultivate it in. It's in our area, there's no open fields around there. It's all oranges or walnuts or something or another. It wasn't that way when we started out. But we have located a place now that we feel comfortable where we can rent for in the future. That's where we put it this year, most of it. We're using that compost on our own property, which we are learning that's a very, very useful thing. It makes very good compost when you do it correctly. It also is able to control the flies with it, because we've sprayed it and done everything else, and they become immune very readily because of the reproduction is so dramatic on flies. But when you use compost, you put it in these windrows. We have it what they call a scarab that turns it. We turn it when it gets to be 150 degrees, and flies can only take 115 degrees. So we roast them, so to speak, and they don't become immune to heat. And there's a lot we presently don't know, but we know a lot more about it than when we started. So
Put a little protein in there too.
pardon?
Put a little protein in that compost too. When you, no,
We've tried it in
when you
numerous
roast the
ways.
flies.
We like manure in it best, because without getting in a lot of detail on making compost, basically you're using nitrogen, carbon, and heat, or oxygen to make heat. You get your microbes working in there, and that's what makes the heat. And then that's what you're basically is farming microbes or microorganisms. And you put that in the soil, and it's very beneficial. What we have learned, you have to use a lot of it, but it works very, very well. We're very, very excited about that, because I think that's the way of the future. We've got to do, I mean, not just, we're the only ones with this problem with these hulls, as I think you well know. All the dehydrators have it. And the bigger you get, the worse it gets. So I think we're on the right track with it. I'm not saying we've got it 100% licked, but each year we've made big advancements. We've been in it about 5 years now, and I think we're kind of finally getting our arms around it. I can't say that we have, but I think we have.
Right, then that's good. I appreciate your explanation here, because we do compost all over the county, and it,
Oh, yeah.
and so it is,
Well,
they know how to do it, and the fact that you've got your learning curve and you're learning how to handle this, which is a little different animal actually than straight manure.
Everybody that makes compost has a different problem with it. It all comes out to be the same. You're still farming microorganisms. And,
Is there a commercial demand for the compost?
I beg your
A
pardon?
market demand? Is there a demand to sell the compost?
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear you.
Is there a demand for you to be able to sell the compost that you
There's
produce?
becoming a greater demand because of, like ourselves, we're just starting to find out how much we have to use to make it work. It appears to be about 15 tons a acre. And that's quite a bit. But when you go out there and take a probe down, you'll see those little microorganisms. They're like a little teensy-weensy hair in there. That ground is just as fluffy and nice. As an example, we did half of our walnuts this year, and we saved one irrigation, and the trees look so much better. It's holding the nitrogen up where it doesn't leach down through the soil, and it holds water considerably better. And I think we're starting to realize how important compost is. I don't know if anybody totally understands it at the present time. The state wants us to do it, and it seems like we got more permits and things to keep us from doing it, and I don't know where that's going to end up. But I think we're on the right track, to make a long story short. Like I say, I don't know if we can answer every question on it just yet, but we're getting closer.
You live at your ranch, right, Jim?
Pardon?
You live at your ranch.
Yeah. Yeah, our compost yard is right adjacent to our house.
Any other questions?
I have just one question. Have you had any feedback from your neighbors on the proposed expansion and how it might impact them? Have you, or have they spoken up about it?
We basically only have neighbors on the north side of us, which there's a property in between us and them.
Okay.
We got one that complains about everything, and not just about this, but everything. He's not here today, to my knowledge, and other than that, that's the only one that has ever said anything. We have had fly problem with it. We got that licked. That's been about. Flies are a terrible thing. Flies will leave a dairy to go to this compost or this walnut hulls, not the compost, but the walnut hulls. I think we got that one licked, but we have had no fly complaints or anything about this last season.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question, just a remark. I'm excited that you're doing this. I think that's a sign that your industry is growing and getting larger, and it looks like a great project to me.
I'm sorry, did he?
It looks like a very good project.
Looks like a good project.
She likes it, Jim.
She likes it.
I like the
Oh.
project.
Okay. Well, we're pioneers.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Through the chair, if we do close the public comment.
Sure. Are there any other of the public that would like to come up and speak on this project, either for or against? If not, I'll close public testimony at this time.
Through the chair, we did want to tell the planning commission, we've worked a lot with Jim over the last 3 years with this project and other projects to get him into the composting field, because we've got a lot to do with the remnants of his product. And Shopkin and some of the other people in this industry were trying to let them actually be able to do something like this besides throw it away. April can attest to the fact that anybody who's been honest about this project is not here today. But we did bring that other project forward with Blake to try to mitigate any potential nuisances from this project. So this has been a strategy we've been trying to work through the last 2 years.
Thank you for the comment. If there are no other comments from the commissioners, I'll look for a motion to approve this project.
Do we need a motion to, on one of the alternatives specifically, or in general?
The recommendation from the county staff, RMA, is to approve a categorical exemption and conditionally approve special use permit, PSP 18-054.
So all you have to do is to read where it says approve, and you can make the motion and read it exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
But
can
having
approve
said
an
that,
alternative.
you don't have to prove it. If there's some, if you've got problems with it, then
You don't have to
Speak
vote
up.
yes for it.
Maybe you have an alternative.
No, I'm just,
No,
Just
that's-
checking.
no, good question, good
But
question.
try it, make a motion.
Yeah, she took Mel's
with you.
spot, so.
I took notes, but I think I'm good. So, motion to approve?
Well, you could read the
You gotta
motion,
read it, where it
see
says
that where it
approve.
says
Number
approve?
two.
the little
On the-
paragraph
the
right
blue-
there.
The blue sheet.
Okay, so,
Oh.
all right, I'm on the other one. Sorry, I'm new.
See,
All right.
approve.
Baptism by
Right
fire
at the
here.
bottom.
Yeah, you're not giving her much of a break. are you?
Under 5A.
That's not fair.
There you go.
All right.
Got it.
So I read the whole thing?
Sure,
Just,
Just this.
just where it says approve.
just the approved
Say,
part.
I make a motion to approve and then,
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code of Regulations, Section 15301, existing facilities, and Section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures, and conditionally approved special use permit number PSP 18-054.
I second that.
Roll call.
McElroy,
Yes?
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes,
Diaz,
yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Tigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Job.
He abstains.
So moved. We'll frame this approval, then you can have it. And
Here
then
first,
10 years from now, we'll ask you why you approved it.
People all yours, and you can.
Wayne and I won't be here 10 years from now.
Oh, you're pessimistic.
there's a lot of pressure to replace Mel there, and she's doing a good
Yeah,
job.
she's doing a good job.
Moving on to item B.
We need to get Commissioner,
Hill back.
Oh, yes.
The Seebecker.
I think you went that way.
Went to the back. Moving on to item B, special use permit number PSP 18-068, Carmina Esparza Ramirez. Categorical exemption and special use permit number PSP 18-068 to allow a contractor storage yard, harvest truck storage, on a .5 acre portion of a 27.11 acre legal parcel assigned to APNs 316-100-046 and 056 in the RA 12.5 rural residential 12,500 square foot minimum zone. The site is located on the west side of Road 136, south of Avenue 84, approximately 1 mile east of State Route 99 in Teviston. And our contact again is Ms. April Hill. Good morning.
Morning again, Chairman Millies and Commissioners. Mrs. Ramirez asks for a special use permit for a contractor storage yard for storing 5 commercial flatbed trucks and grape harvest equipment. They've been operating there for about 6 years. No more structures are proposed. The business was cited with a code violation, which was initiated by a county building inspector. The violation was for an addition built without permits and a mobile home installed without permits. Was partly abated by removal of the mobile home, finalizing building permits for the additions. And this approval of this use permit will allow the contractor storage yard in the future. The land is within the Teviston Hamlet development boundary and is designated mixed use, which allows for economic development. It's consistent with the Hamlet Development Plan and the relevant policies of the Tulare County General Plan. The site zoning, RA 12.5, is rural residential, and per contractor storage yard ordinance number 3355, a yard should not, the parcel with the yard on it should not exceed 5 acres in size. The applicant's property is 27 acres, larger than the maximum. However, the project complies with other provisions of the ordinance. The Planning Commission has the discretion to approve a contractor storage yard on a larger than specified parcel. The yard itself will be limited to the size, the half-acre size. The owner lives on the site, and the use does not involve any manufacturing, fabrication, or retail sale, and would comply with all zoning regulations applicable to the property. The parcel has 2 residences, a parking area for 5 trucks used during the grape harvest, and fallow land. Surrounding properties contain vineyards, nut trees, and rural residences. A ditch runs through the property, and adjacent to the west is the Pixley Irrigation District basin. The district responded to our consultation request and would ask that we prohibit discharging drainage water into district facilities. The nearest off-site residence is about 560 feet southwest. It does generate noise, with 5 trucks leaving in the morning and returning in the late afternoon. However, the truck traffic is limited to the harvest season, and noise is similar to agricultural-related equipment, so should have no impact. No neighbors called with concerns about noise or about the business. Public Works requires construction of drive approaches. These are deferred until future building permits. No structures are proposed. This is a site plan showing the houses, the truck parking areas, driveways, and the ditch. Environmental Health Services requires a hazardous materials business plan if hazardous materials stored on the site exceed thresholds. The applicant says there are no hazardous materials. Standard conditions of approval are for portable toilets stored on the property and used at off-site properties be collected and disposed of waste disposed of by a environmental health approved liquid waste hauler, and the public portable toilet shall be screened from public view as a condition of approval. Fire department requires all-weather access and compliance with the fire code and building code. They need a properly sized water storage tank for fire suppression, and a life safety inspection required within 6 months of approval. California Diversity Database shows sightings of tricolored blackbird in the area. However, the subject site and surroundings have been used for agriculture and residences for decades. No signs of special status species on the site. The wetlands that are marked on the map appear to be associated with the Pixley Irrigation District basin next door. The Environmental Planning Assessment Officer has determined that the project is categorically exempt from California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, under Section 15061B3, the general rule, and Section 15301, existing facilities. The project does not have the potential for causing a significant effect on the environment and therefore is not subject to CEQA. The applicant has stored the trucks on the site since 2012, 6 years, and the site is not in an environmentally sensitive area, contains structures, and is surrounded by agriculture and residential uses. Conditions of approval are included. A public notice for the project was mailed to surrounding property owners within 300 feet, also published in the Sun Gazette with a 10-day public comment period. I had one call from a neighbor who was concerned from the map that the county was trying to take her property, and this is a problem with our explaining. I explained the process. This ends staff's report. Do you have any questions for staff or for Mrs. Ramirez?
Any questions from Commission?
On page 25, the project facts say the operating hours are 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm not sure that the 4 p.m. wouldn't meet their needs.
Usually I put the condition as a half hour before sunset, half hour after, or half an hour before sunrise, half an hour after sunset. And that's condition number 30. So, thank you for the question.
Any other questions?
I do. So I have a lot of questions in general, but
go right ahead.
in regards to this project, what would permission for a contractor storage yard allow the business to do? So I know right now they have trucks and the portable toilets, but what would this official permission give them permission to do?
Thank you. Yes, the permit does run with the land, and so it's an important question. It would allow a contractor storage yard for a farm labor business, and storage of trucks and equipment. If they were to expand beyond the half acre, or if they were to change the type of business, they'd have to come back for an amendment to this use permit. And that would come to you. If it were a small change, it might be a minor modification that the planning director could sign off on, but we make that determination based on the facts. Thank you.
Questions? Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. You said screening. What is going to be used? Is there screening now around the property, and what would be used to do the screening?
The home site does have, is fenced. Google Photos showed portable toilets outside that area, and we propose having a fence, either a cyclone with the slats in it, or our option is hedges or solid wooden fence, no higher than 6 feet.
So that has to be done before they receive this permit.
It would be within a reasonable time afterwards, because it's an expense.
And I didn't see it, but I'm sure no cleaning of the portable toilets on the premises, right?
Right. Has to be pumped by a licensed waste to liquid waste hauler.
Well, there's a big difference. I mean,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
pumped, and then there's cleaning, of,
Disposed of.
spraying them out, and high-pressure washing. Those will not be done on the premises?
That's going to be a condition of approval. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Through the chair, on page 8, there's a condition 11 that emphasizes.
Off-site. Any other questions?
I have a follow-up question.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay, so on page 3, about 2/3 of the way down, it says the Pixley Irrigation District operates a ditch through the subject parcel and a basin on an adjacent parcel. The condition of approval prohibits discharge of surface or subsurface drainage water. How would we, or how would the county watch out for that?
Well, through the chair, this is normally a matter that we wouldn't necessarily be able to enforce right off the bat. It's, the condition would not allow them to do that. We'd be looking to the Pixley Irrigation District to tell us they're in violation in the future if they were to do that. But what this does is document in that time and place that they cannot do that. So it's not necessarily, we do require that all detention in most of our projects be located on the premises, but this is not a real change to the property to commercial or industrial use where you would foresee needing a detention basin. So, like I said, it's really going to be incumbent upon the Pixley Irrigation District to give us a call. It's right in between.
This is a standard condition that we get from most of the irrigation districts when they're notified of a permit like that. They just want to make sure that's on record that nobody's going to discharge into their ditch.
Back in my irrigation days, when we were putting large irrigation systems in, all these districts have a big staff, and you'll see someone in a pickup truck checking their ditches because they don't want any leaks or people doing things, they dumping trash. I mean, I don't know, there's lots of things, but those guys are around, and they're the best police that you have. So. Right, Nancy? No.
I was just going to say, what you said about the irrigation district, they'll police it. They'll watch it.
Any other questions? If no other questions at this time, it's a public hearing. I will open the hearing to public testimony, either for or against the project. If you would like to state your name and address, please.
Good morning. My name is Myra Rivas, and this is Carmina Esparza Ramirez, my mom. So before we applied for the permit, we weren't aware that we were in violation if we had the trucks outside of a ranch. So we were just asking for the permit to function in accordance with the county laws.
You guys have had a chance to see the conditions of approval for this? Are you in agreement with everything?
Yes.
Okay.
One little housekeeping. What is your address, please?
8341 Road 136 in Pixley, California.
Thank you.
Pretty baby.
Any questions for the applicant?
No, this is just to bring them into compliance. They've been good neighbors for a long time, sounds like. I haven't had any complaints, and so.
Unless you have any comments, thank you very much. Are there any other of the public that would like to come up and speak on this project? If not, I'll close public testimony at this time and look for a motion to approve this project for my fellow commissioners.
I'll make the motion to approve a categorical exemption consistent with CEQA and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14, California Code Regulations, Section 15061, subsection B3, the general rule, and Section 15301, existing facilities, and conditionally approve a special use permit number PSP 18-068.
Second?
I'll second. Do we need to add the change of hours on there?
Yes.
Sunset?
Were we going to have to change the hours of operation on that?
No, on condition number 30, I already specified that half hour before sunrise and half
Okay.
hour sunset.
So then there's no changes, so it's approved as presented.
So who seconded?
I'll second.
All right. Roll call, please.
McElroy,
Yes?
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Tigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Thank you, so moved. Moving on to C, item C, special use permit number PSP 18-095, Margarito Rodriguez, JQM Design Drafting, care of Jesse Martinez. Categorical exemption and special use permit number PSP 18-095 to allow a contractor storage yard, Prosperity Air Conditioning, on a 1,600 square foot portion of a 0.86 acre parcel in the AE 10 exclusive agriculture 10 acre minimum zone. The site is located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Avenue 136, Scranton Avenue, and Road 256, Leggett Street, south of Porterville. And our contact this morning is Ms. Dana Metlin.
Thank you, Commissioner Millies. And this is the overview of the project, and Chairman Millies really did just read the whole thing for me. The request is to allow a contractor storage yard, and this is an air conditioning and heating business. The applicant is Margarito Rodriguez, and the agent is Jesse Martinez. And this is located in the urban area boundary of Porterville. And the road located is the southeast corner of the intersection of Scranton Avenue and Leggett. That's south of Porterville. This is the hearing notification map. This project was noticed according to the law, was advertised in the Sun Gazette on January 16, 2019, and notices were mailed to properties within 300 feet of the boundary, and staff has not received any comments. Entitlement is found in section 16.2B, whereby contractor storage yards are allowed in the AE10 zone if the owner lives on site and the parcel is smaller than 5 acres, and provided that no manufacturing or retail sales occurs at the project site. And the proposal does meet with these requirements. As mentioned, this project is in the urban area boundary of the city of Porterville, and the land use designation is very low density residential. The city of Porterville did respond to our consultation, and they said that they had no comments about this project. And the project is consistent with the relevant Tulare County General Plan policies. The environmental summary is that the project was found to be categorically exempt from SEQA pursuant to section 15301, class 1, pertaining to existing facilities. And the use of this section is applicable and appropriate because the storage yard uses the existing facilities that are on the site, and they do not propose any expansions or earth-moving activities on the project site. This is the vicinity map showing the location here, south of Porterville. This is the aerial photograph. To the north and west is agriculture, and to the east and south are rural residences. There is a general code violation on this property, opened on September 12, 2017, for an air conditioning business being operated at this location without the benefit of a special use permit. And approval of this use permit would close the code violation. This is the zoning map. Site is zoned AE10, and the properties surrounding it are also agriculturally zoned. To the north, it's AE20. And there is agriculture, I think, mentioned to the north and west. This is the site plan. And this project is a contractor storage yard for an air conditioning business being run out of the applicant's property. Miscellaneous heating, ventilation, and air conditioning ductwork is done inside the 1,500 square foot shop building. Materials are delivered to the site and stored, then taken to the work site for installation and or repair of the air conditioning. The site also contains a 684 square foot office and a 1,300 square foot carport. There are not any customers who will visit this site, and there are 3 pickup trucks and 2 trailers that are utilized for the business. Parking is provided on site for the business vehicles and also for the employees. There are 3 employees that work at this location, and the hours and days are Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the project is surrounded with a 6-foot high fence with privacy slats. And that concludes staff's report, and here is staff's recommendation for approval of this project.
Question?
Yes?
How close is the urban development boundary? This is in the UAB, but what about, is this relatively close to Porterville? I mean, I read that it's planned for a little bit.
The city is pink. I don't know exactly. The city is the pink, and it's within the urban area boundary. I think the urban development boundary is right here at Scranton. Everything north of there is in the UDB.
To answer that question, we're actually behind the, oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. We'll open the public testimony in a moment. Thank you.
Goes back to I think our complaint is that I wish Porterville would take more responsibility for their, we make Porterville decisions, so this is really they should be annexing, but that's a personal opinion. But anyway, we have all these little islands, and but anyway, keep going. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
I got one just for clarification. I'm reading the entitlements here, and These entitlements are for an RA zone. You said this is an R10? I mean,
This is a AE
A10?
10, and the entitlement for the RA zone would be a little bit more restrictive. So this is the agriculture zone, and so it's not as restrictive as the RA zone.
So your logic is if it's allowed in an RA zone, it should be allowed in an R10.
Oh, definitely,
Ag
A10,
10.
AE 10, yes.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing. At this time, I'll open the hearing to public testimony. If anyone wishes to come up and speak on behalf of or against this project, please do so at this time. State your name and address.
Mary Andrade, the address is 2226 Thurman Court in Porterville.
Pull the mic down a little bit. Thank you.
Mary Andrade, the address is 2226 Thurman Court in Porterville. I'm one of the employees, the assistant manager there. We actually, to answer the question, the state hospital is behind us, I would say maybe a half a mile away from us, down, I would say, on Scranton. So we're not, there's really no residential, maybe one or two houses on the side of the home, of the property. So, but we, on the hours we have from 7:30, sometimes they do run a little bit late because of the season. Sometimes during the summer we are a little bit busier. During the winter, there is really the same hours, 7:30 to 3, sometimes to 5. But that would be the only comments I would make on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public at this time? If none, I will close the public testimony, and I will look to my fellow commissioners for a motion.
I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion that we approve a categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15301, Class 1 pertaining to existing facilities and conditionally approved special use permit PSP 18-095. Is that correct?
May I have a second?
I'll
I second that.
Roll call.
McElroy,
Yes?
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Tigliano, Aguilar.
Yes.
So moved. Thank you. Moving on to item D, zone variance number PZV 18-018, Tulare County Resource Management Agency. The categorical exemption is zone variance number PZV 18-018 from section 9.6.G.1 of ordinance number 352, the zoning ordinance pertaining to minimum front yard requirements being 25 feet in the AE 20 exclusive agriculture 20-acre minimum zone. The site is located on the north side of Caldwell Avenue, approximately 860 feet west of Pepper Tree Court, west of Visalia. And our contact, again, is Ms. Dana Metlin.
Millies, thank you. As mentioned, this is a request to allow a structure within the 25-foot front yard setback area of Caldwell Avenue. And this project is in the AE 20 zone. And the structure, by the way, is a block wall. And this site is located within the urban development boundary of Visalia. And it is located at 6024 West Caldwell Avenue. This is the hearing notification map. The project was noticed according to the law. Notice was placed in the Sun Gazette on January 16, 2019, and property owners within 300 feet of the site boundaries were notified by mail. Staff has not received any comments. Entitlement is found in section 16 of ordinance number 352, which authorizes the filing of variance applications when practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or results inconsistent with the general purpose of this ordinance result through strict and literal interpretation and enforcement of provisions thereof. The project was found to be categorically exempt from SEQA pursuant to Section 15301, Class 1, pertaining to existing facilities. This project is compatible with this exemption because the variance is only bringing the existing block wall into conformance with the front yard area requirement of the AE 20 zone district. The project is located within the urban area boundary and the urban development boundary for the city of Visalia. The land use designation is residential, very low density, and the project was found to be consistent with the relevant general plan policies. This is the vicinity map, and the project is located here on the north side of Caldwell. And this variance pertains to two parcels that are owned by the same property owners. And these are the two parcels. I don't know why it's not working. Anyhow, this is the aerial photograph. And residential uses are to the east, the north, and the west, and agriculture is to the south across Caldwell Avenue. The zoning map. Site is zoned AE 20. And just to mention that this section over here that's in the pink area, that's new Daryl's mini storage facility. There are mandatory findings for a zone variance. And they're required to, in order to approve the zone variance. And the first one is with regard to special circumstances being applicable to the property. And because of the widening of Caldwell Avenue, the county acquired an additional 24 feet of right-of-way and 6 feet for a public utility easement on the north side of Caldwell. Thus, the existing block wall, which is originally outside the 25 feet front yard area, now sits only 7.5 feet from the right-of-way line and inside the required 25 feet front yard area of the AE 20 zone district, so which is measured from the right-of-way line. And when they widened Caldwell, they couldn't get any more right-of-way on the south side because there's a canal down there. The second finding is with regard to that this variance would not constitute a grant of special privilege, and this variance will be conditioned to not allow further encroachment of any new structures into the 25-foot front yard area. The third finding is that this variance does not authorize a use not otherwise allowed in the zone district, and the Resource Management Agency is the applicant for this project, which is bringing the property into compliance with the zoning ordinance. The county's acquisition, again, of that additional 24 feet of right-of-way created the inconsistency with the zoning ordinance, and again, this project is just bringing it into compliance. And the fourth finding is that the project is consistent with the general plan, and staff has made that finding. This is the site plan, and I don't know why that says C2 General Commercial up there. So it's illustrating how the wall, which is down here, both sides of the driveway, is only 7.5 feet from the edge of the right-of-way. So that concludes staff's report. And here's staff's recommendation for approval of this.
Any questions for my fellow commissioners?
This is pretty straightforward. Could this be administrative? I mean,
Through the chair, we've done similar minor modifications or minor deviations administratively when we are close to meeting the setbacks, but because even though we created the condition, because it is so far away from maybe being close to meeting our minor administrative processes, we decided to bring that before you. We were fortunate to
Right.
just want to get this out on the record for future staff and future discretionary board members that, we created this problem, and we just want to get that straight away so there isn't a future problem.
Property to the west of it going to have any issues, or it looks like it might be open enough to have enough ground there, huh?
So I have a question. Are there any others along that route that,
Like I said, we've done other, when we've gone through the condemnation and the right-of-way purchasing process, we've had 3 other projects there that we've worked through. We were just fortunate enough to get out much more further in advance of this one.
I have a question. I want to make sure that they're in compliance. The city has a different height restriction on fence versus the county. So does this cover the height of the fence? Is it an 8-foot fence, a 7-foot, 6-foot?
Block wall. I looked at,
I just want to make sure that somebody's not going to say, oh, your fence is too tall. Because I think the ordinance is that you have to submit plans and you have to get some kind of a special use permit for a higher fence than what the city says.
Well, wait a minute.
When it annexed into the city, they wouldn't be grandfathered in necessarily under our provisions for whatever those rules are. And to actually have to come into compliance, they'd have to ask for something more, a building permit or some other entitlement. We could consider yours a question or recommendation that varies it from our standards or future standards in regards to defense heights. We could add that into the record. I think that would be good.
The city allows higher, the county is less.
Correct. Yeah, and like I said, are you grandfathering?
Be grandfathered in if they were annexed.
The finding of the record does include defense heights.
That'd be good.
I will add that.
Got it.
Any other questions or recommendations? If not, this is a public hearing. At this time, I'll open up the hearing for public testimony. If anyone wishes to come up and speak on behalf of or opposed to the project or issue, please
I'm not
do
sure
so.
if it's
State your name and
necessary.
address.
Alicia LaFave, 6000 West Caldwell.
And I'm Valerie Watrous, 6024 West Caldwell.
Mom and daughter. She's mom and she's the property owner of both. So it sounds positive, but we didn't know if we needed to make any further. When we were going through the negotiation process with the county, they said they were going to take down the existing wall, which has already been removed, and that when they built in 1982, they thought they had built it far enough back to allow for the expansion, not knowing that both lanes were going to be expanded on the north side. So that did take the 24 feet of both properties. And so in negotiation, it was said that we could build an 8-foot block wall to replace what was existing at the time along both properties to make it, since they're property owners of both, and then put a gate between the two. So what we were understood is that 7.5 feet back from the existing sidewalk, we would be able to build an 8-foot block wall.
That was my comments. I just want to make sure that somebody was going to tell you that your wall's too high and you got to cut a
Right.
foot off.
So part of the variance has to include a height variance too.
It could necessarily include the height variance. But we can validate what our general services department and public works department will do in regards to the height as well.
Yeah. So I think you're all right.
Good. Thank you very much.
survived all the construction?
Are there any other comments from the public at this time? For or against? If not, I'll close the public testimony,
Make your motion.
and I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we have a categorical exemption and zone variance for number PZV 18-018. Am I on the
Reading
wrong
the right one?
Wrong one.
Next page.
Next page over.
I knew I was there.
No, that one, there you go.
Okay.
There we go.
This happened the other day. Okay, I make a motion, we approve a categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act and CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15301, Class 1, pertaining to existing facilities, and conditionally approve a zoning variance number PZV 18-018 with the variance for the fence height, as you stated.
Fence height.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
McElroy,
Yes?
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Giuliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Motion is so moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, thank you, Dana, to item 6, Director's Report.
Through the chair, Aaron Bach, interim planning director for Tulare County.
How long has it been interim now?
Long time. As far as what we're working on right now in RMA, and I don't want to step on public works toes too much here. We are working to, there was a project we've been working on for a while, the juvenile detention facility across from Sequoia Airfield, and trying to get money to relocate Hamilton Creek. We've had several starts and stops as far as grant funding. Finally, we have a clear path to move forward. So we just made application yesterday to go through the federal and state granting process again. So hopefully this time it sticks. It's pretty much $1 million realignment project, but it'll save the juvenile detention facility there from potential flooding in the future. We did some fixes to it 3 years back, but we think that should save some initial problems from 10-year floods, but if we get anything worse than that, we're going to see a long-term effect. So we're getting really close to moving forward. There's a lot of interest from the Groundwater Management Act agency in regards to that project, including from the Kings, which is that system, East Kings GSA, and from the East Korea GSA, as far as potentially getting credits for reclaiming water at that location. So that's a big deal to us, and we're definitely focused on moving forward on that one. Outside of that, Mineral King Bridge made a negative declaration for Three Rivers, so that's moving forward full speed, or as full speed as we can, working through Caltrans, but definitely moving forward. As far as planning, we are putting our schedules together for moving forward with the I&O community plan. For sure, we took a little bit of a hiatus. As you well know, December was an eventful month for us, going through a lot of private projects, and we got to the end of those, and so going back to some of these public projects, we're definitely going to get that out there. We're also, like I stated at the last meeting, we're going to try to complete all the community plans for the Valley Floor, so that includes Louisville, Plainview, and I look forward to doing Springville and Lemon Cove, a little bit outside of Valley Floor, over the upcoming fiscal year. It's probably 19-20 fiscal year, we'll move in that direction. Yes, so 2020. So that's our main water sustainability plans coming out by 2020 to make sure our general plan is in alignment with those plans, even though I'm sitting on 2 technical advisory committees for the East Cahuilla and for the Greater Cahuilla, even within the sub-basins, you're seeing a lot of differing information, and to really clarify, coordinate those efforts between, because we have 3 major groundwater sustainability agencies within the county, and the Tooele, Cahuilla, and Kings, to make sure the information is pretty coordinated beyond what's required from the state to get our general plan in alignment with all of that. And also some of the credits and some of the ways to reclaim water that don't necessarily jive with the Port of Cologne Water Act. Maybe an attempt on our part to try to make recommendations more beneficial use, at least within our general plan. So we are looking forward to do all of those general plan efforts kind of concurrently. We've got a lot of headway on the Avenel plan as far as the document. We are definitely going to go back out and do some outreach and to make sure that also Cutler Rossi comes in concurrently within this fiscal year and align with all the general plan policy up to do a pretty heavy-duty update to our general plan. So we'll be looking to reward the initiation in the upcoming months for those efforts. We've already done the initiation of Cutler Rossi, and I know playing real deal, so that's not a huge effort, but there's going to be a lot of moving parts. We've also got some new CEQA guidelines coming down that is going to require us to use vehicle miles traveled versus level of service as a standard under CEQA. It's been in the law for a while, SB 743, but they're finally implementing it, and it's going to be a requirement. So look forward to that. We've done a lot of background studies when we updated the 22 plans through that SGC grant. We did a lot of background traffic studies to try to show how we can use GHG as a metric for traffic control. So we have the preliminary basis for that, but we're definitely going to look at it at a general plan level. Because right now, all we have is level of service in the county. So there's another rationale. And ultimately, under SB 1000, potentially updated to elements of our general plan, we have to have an environmental justice either element and or program that's incorporated by reference. Unlike Fresno County, we've actually looked to do an actual element. Having worked at the Governor's Office of Planning and Research and the Environmental Justice Division, glad to see it come to fruition. We've done a lot of talking to HCD, my friends at OPR. We're working with Civic Sparks right now to actually create that document. So we're getting a lot of help from the state. So we make sure we follow all the requirements to achieve. And we've also worked with Wealth Leadership Foundation. We just received a grant with Leadership Foundation from Manning Track, working closely with Pedro Hernandez over there to get that grant. So this is all kind of one big, large effort. It's really looking at the tea leaves here. It's probably going to require a pretty robust general plan update. So hopefully we've satisfied a lot of the Three Rivers community so that the comments are as robust as they were when we did the general plan last time. But these are all beneficial, positive things moving forward, and we'll work with all the people in regards to GSAs to get our GSPs and our general plan. Anything else? As a phone call out to get on, because we're forming a community facilities district with the city of Kingsburg. Just to give you a quick update on that with the HASH project, Jim Robinson, San Joaquin Homes is moving forward. We have stamped improvement plans on our side, and the city's looking forward to doing their side of it. We still have to development agreement, that'll, and we also have to go to the board of supervisors. We haven't slowed down at all.
Question, maybe for Public Works, is this solar your project, Johnson? The
No,
sol-
it is not. That's a general services. General services.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Haskins credit for that one. Although I would like to take credit for it. That one I
Anything else on the director's report?
Just a quick comment, if I might.
Sure.
No, go ahead. I can talk as you walk if you want. I don't want to hold you back, but part of what I did in Hungary was EJ, so environmental justice work. So I don't know if we're allowed to get involved in some way, but and I'm published in Columbia Law School book on the subject. So if there's anything that I can contribute, let me know.
through the chair, most definitely.
Yeah.
And what we can do for that process is have workshops.
Okay.
That's always available to us, especially as we begin to have drafts. So it's not like working with you directly, we work with all the commissioners.
Yeah.
So you can see some of the documentation and comment on it as we work through the process. We have HCD's Civic Sparks folks, those PhDs and master's students are working on the data accumulation right now and working through how we need to be with the statutory requirements. So what we can do is do a workshop. So we have those first editions. We have a lot of headway already, I think, with the last round of SGC grants we got in meeting SB 244. Not necessarily a county requirement, we're trying to get cities to cooperate in that regard. Yes, definitely the board, the commission on that.
Anything under item 7, planning commission discussion? No? Supervisor Valero, how did Commissioner McElroy do this morning?
He did great.
All right.
Well, I've got a brief update. Our committee, our conference committee for the CCPCA, which is California County Planning Commissioners Association, is meeting Saturday in Chico. This would be a good opportunity for our new commissioner to attend. It's a chance to meet with other commissioners from around the state, and we get into issues that affect all of us. The Chico conference we're looking to sign the contract in the next couple of days in terms of where we're going to have the conference. It's generally one day of fairly intensive sessions of presentations on planning issues. One of the things we're looking at, of course, in Chico is we're going to, on our field trip, we're going to do a jaunt to the countryside and look at the Paradise Fire and where we're at with that and how planning relates to fire issues. And then in the afternoon, we'll probably finish at the county seat in Oroville at the dam and take a look at some of the state water project issues. So it's going to be a really exciting conference. It's very, contemporary with the issues that are affecting all of us in the state of California. And it's a good chance for all of our commissioners. And Tulare County has really participated a lot in this organization over the years. This is our, I want to say 90th or 92nd conference. We're getting close to the big 100. But we do this every year, and it's a great place for planning commissioners to kind of, get flush with the issues and talk with commissioners from other counties. So it's going to be May 3rd and 4th in Chico, and she's going to have a chance to be supported by our fund from the supervisors that help us go to educational conferences like this. And I think she'll make some great connections around the state, and it won't take long, but we'll get her involved in kind of the board and the representative part of the organization, because we always need new people to get involved. So anyway, I'll have more after the Egg Show. When we have our next meeting, I'll probably have sign-up information for that and how we do it. Velma's very familiar with getting us involved in that, and I think it's going to be a great conference, and we'll have more news on that at the next meeting.
Do we have a deal with the Hotel Diamond yet?
Well, that's what we're signing Saturday.
Our Chief Environmental Officer, Hector Guerrero, wants to speak. Yeah.
Through the chair, Hector Guerrero, Chief Environmental Planner.
Well, I'll say your officer today.
The officer, the Army Director. First of all, I want to congratulate and welcome Commissioner McElroy.
Thank you.
Supervisor Guerrero. I used to work for the city of Dayuba. I used to be the city planner for 4 years.
Okay.
So very familiar with that area. What I wanted to mention to inform Commissioner Elliott is that we have actually 2 bridge project mitigated neg decks that were released respectively 3 and 2, or 3 weeks ago, 1 week ago. One is for the M348 project that's going across the East Korea Fork of the 3 rivers. So Justin can probably give you a little bit more information on that one. So that environmental document is going forward, and that's to replace a basically functionally obsolete bridge. It's just not wide enough. It's structurally still sound, it's just too tiny. The other one is the Mineral King Bridge project. That one went out last week, and we don't anticipate any issues. The community supported that wonderfully. It's basically going to be a retrofit and just redo the bridge, as it was. It's still going to look the way it did back in the day. So a little bit temporary span across both of the bridges. So those will be removing everything else that's in that. Last Friday, we also released a notice of preparation for an environmental impact report for the Dunn Asphalt and Concrete Batch Plant, which will be on the southwest corner of, it's on Avenue 280 west of State Route 99. So in that vicinity before you get to Road 68. So that is going to be a new project that will ultimately come to your commission for a decision. It's a special use permit, so that will come forward. Working on other projects that Director Bach mentioned, the Color Rosa Community Plan has been launched. It's going forward. We've got traffic studies going up. We've got consultants that are beginning to do biology, noise, those kind of items. And then also for Ivanhoe, which to flow supervisor. I worked on that thing, my first tour of duty, as I like to call it, when I came here back in 88, 90, 91. So I'm very familiar with Ivanhoe. So we'll do environmental for that too. So again, welcome each of you, and always here to answer your CEQA-related questions. I have nearly 35 years of planning experience, and everybody forgets that. I started off as a planner, and I've evolved into CEQA, so I am also a planner by way of professional training. Johnson, you have anything else you want to add, update?
Yes, good morning, commissioners, and good to have you here, Mr. Villa. I'm Johnson, I represent Public Works. This year, we're gearing up for many projects we have with SB1 funding. We're looking at about approximately $11 million, plus or minus a million, because we don't know exactly how we're taking it, but we are looking to rehab many roads, and a lot of it will be construction. We also have we have a lot of community projects that will be in construction as well. A lot of community projects, ATP, safety projects. We have a number of projects that will be going into construction this year. And so we're really excited, and again, as I mentioned last time, this year we're really changing our focus on really getting more involved in our community in the earlier stages of the project. Even for, with building up, an example would be if we could put in a sidewalk for a community, then we really want to work with the homeowners and make sure that we minimize impact to them and maximize benefit to them as well. Because if we create hardship for homeowners to relocate their fence, it really does create more of a negative impact than benefit. So this year we've been focusing a lot more on community outreach, meeting with the communities and updating the communities and meeting the community leaders to keep them informed and keep the residents informed. And so this year, that's our goal. And so as big projects come up, I'll be discussing them with you. And if you have any questions on any major projects, feel free to let me know. I'd be more than happy to provide any updates. Thank you.
So how did we do, County Council? We break any laws today? No?
Okay. I noticed we had the chief county council here today.
Yes.
Watching you, I saw her.
You're a little nervous.
The next meeting of the Planning Commission will be on February 27th. We will not have a meeting around the
Farm show.
International Farm Equipment Show, so It'll be a little bit of a respite, but we'll see everybody on February 27th, and this meeting is adjourned.
I